The slap echoed through Seoul family court like a thunderclap, skin meeting skin, a pregnant belly between them, and 2 billion worth of lies about to unravel in front of Judge Kim's disgusted eyes. Park Jin-ho had just made the worst mistake of his pathetic, trust fund-financed life, and Michelle Thompson Park was about to make sure the entire world knew it. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Where are you watching from? Michelle Thompson Park stood before her bathroom mirror at 6:47 a.m., studying the woman staring back at her. 6 months pregnant, exhausted from another sleepless night, but still sharp-eyed and clear-headed. Her father had always said that the Thompson family didn't break. They bent, they adapted, they strategized, and then they won. She placed both hands on her swollen belly and whispered, "Your daddy's about to learn that lesson the hard way, baby girl." 7 years. 7 years since she'd stepped off that plane at Incheon International Airport. A 23-year-old MBA graduate with her father's tech fortune in trust and dreams of expanding the family business into Asian markets. 7 years since she'd met Park Jin-ho at that Gangnam Business Conference, where he'd approached her with that devastating smile and talk of nightclubs, real estate ventures, and import-export opportunities that sounded impressive to someone who didn't know better. She'd been so damn naive. The apartment around her, a luxury penthouse in Gangnam with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Han River, represented everything Jin-ho wanted the world to believe about him. Expensive furniture, original artwork, a wine collection that cost more than most people's cars. All of it purchased with her money, though he'd somehow convinced himself he was the provider. Michelle's phone buzzed. "Attorney Kang Soo-mi, right on schedule. Are you ready?" Kang's voice was crisp, professional, deadly. They'd nicknamed her the Sledgehammer for a reason. She demolished opposing counsel the way wrecking balls demolish buildings. Thoroughly, enthusiastically, without mercy. "I've been ready since I found the bank statements 3 months ago," Michelle replied, moving to her closet. She pulled out a navy business suit. Conservative, professional, the armor of a woman who meant business. "Is everything in order? Every receipt, every transaction, every lie documented and notarized. The forensic accountant's report alone is 200 pages of financial infidelity. Your husband's been living off your trust fund like it's an all-you-can-steal buffet." Kong paused. "The DNA results came back too. Sealed envelope, as you requested." Michelle's hand instinctively went to her belly again. She already knew what those results would say. She'd been faithful throughout their marriage, despite Jin-ho's increasingly obvious affair. But Jin-ho didn't know that she knew that he'd been questioning the baby's paternity to anyone who'd listen. Another humiliation he'd piled onto the mountain of disrespect. "Perfect," Michelle said. "Let's show Seoul's biggest fake gangster what happens when you steal from a Thompson." She dressed carefully, methodically. Each piece of clothing was a decision, a statement. The navy suit said, professional, competent, unshakable. The modest jewelry, her father's watch, her grandmother's simple gold necklace, said, old money, real money, not the flashy garbage Jin-ho draped on his Instagram influencer Mistress. Her natural hair, pulled back in an elegant bun, said, I don't need to perform for anyone. By 7:30 a.m., she was in her car, a practical Volvo SUV she'd purchased herself, not one of Jin-ho's ridiculous sports cars. As she drove through Seoul's morning traffic, she thought about the moment everything had crystallized. 3 months ago, a Tuesday, she'd been reviewing quarterly financial statements for her company. Thompson Tech Asia had been thriving under her management, expanding into artificial intelligence applications and securing contracts with major Korean corporations. Her father would have been proud. That's when she'd noticed the discrepancy. A transfer of 50 million Korean wons from their joint account to an account she didn't recognize. Then another. A trail of expensive breadcrumbs leading directly to Han Yi-jin, 24, whose Instagram profile was a shrine to luxury she definitely hadn't earned herself. Designer bags, Paris trips, a luxury apartment in Cheongdam-dong, all funded by Michelle's inheritance, while Jin-ho played gangster with his crew of wannabe tough guys. The rage had been cold, calculated, surgical. Michelle didn't scream or throw things. Thompson women didn't lose control. They got even. She'd called her financial advisor first. Freeze everything connected to Park Jin-ho. Every joint account, every credit card, every access point to my trust fund. I want him cut off within the hour. Then she called Kong Sumi. I need the best divorce attorney in Seoul. Money is no object. I want him destroyed. Kong had listened to the whole story and then laughed, actually laughed. Oh, this is going to be fun. I've been waiting for a case like this. A fake gangster living off his wife's money while cheating? Mrs. Park, by the time I'm done, he'll wish assault was his only problem. Now, pulling into the parking structure beneath Seoul Family Court, Michelle felt the familiar calm that came with preparation. She'd spent 3 months building an airtight case. Jinho had spent 3 months frantically trying to figure out why his credit cards stopped working and why Michelle had moved into the guest bedroom. He still thought he could charm his way out of this. That's how delusional he was. Michelle walked through the courthouse corridors, her heels clicking with purpose. Other people moved aside instinctively. She had that energy, the kind that said, I belong here and I know exactly what I'm doing. Attorney Kong met her outside courtroom 3B. At 45, Kong was a legend in Seoul legal circles, sharp as broken glass, immaculately dressed, and famous for making grown men cry on a witness stand. She looked Michelle over and nodded approval. Perfect. You look like money that actually works for a living, not money that's being embezzled by a mediocre con artist. Kong handed her a folder. This is your copy of everything. The financial forensics, the infidelity evidence, the witness statements. We have his crew members willing to testify that Jinho openly bragged about living off your trust fund. Apparently, he thought it made him clever. How stupid can one person be? Michelle murmured, flipping through the documentation. We're about to find out, Kong said with a predatory smile. His attorney is young, inexperienced, and already looks like he wants to quit. Jinho's apparently been impossible to work with, keeps insisting everything is your fault and that he's the victim. They entered the courtroom together. Judge Kim Hae-won was already seated, a grandmother of 5 with 30 years on the bench and a reputation for tolerating exactly zero nonsense. She looked up as Michelle entered, her expression neutral but her eyes sharp. Then the other side arrived. Park Jinho's swagger into the courtroom like he was walking into one of his nightclubs. Gold Rolex, catching the fluorescent lights. Tailored Italian suit that Michelle had paid for. Hair slicked back, sunglasses on indoors because apparently he thought this was a music video. Behind him, his entourage, 6 guys in leather jackets trying desperately to look intimidating and mostly succeeding in looking like they'd watched too many gangster movies. They took up an entire row, arms crossed, faces stone. And there, 3 rows back, wearing sunglasses indoors because subtlety was apparently not her strong suit. Han Yi-jin, the Mistress, 24 years old, Instagram influencer, and professionally bad at reading rooms. She was dressed in designer everything, none of which she'd paid for, all of which Michelle could itemize down to the receipt. Jinho caught Michelle's eye and smirked. Actually smirked, like he thought he had the upper hand. Oh, this was going to be satisfying. Judge Kim banged her gavel. This is a divorce proceeding, not a nightclub. Sunglasses off, everyone sit down, and if I hear one disruption from the gallery, you're all removed. Are we clear? Jinho's crew suddenly found their seats very interesting. The sunglasses came off. Even Jinho had the sense to look slightly less cocky. Counselors approach. Kong strode forward confidently. Jinho's attorney, a nervous-looking man in his early 30s who was clearly regretting every decision that had led to this moment, followed reluctantly. Judge Kim looked between them. This is going to be straightforward. We're here to dissolve the marriage between Park Jinho and Michelle Thompson Park, determine asset distribution, and address any relevant claims. Mrs. Park's counsel, you filed first. Proceed. Kong turned to face the courtroom, and Michelle saw the transformation, from colleague to courtroom assassin in one smooth motion. Your Honor, this case represents one of the most egregious examples of financial exploitation and marital betrayal I've encountered in 20 years of family law. Over the course of 5 years, Mr. Park systematically drained approximately 2.3 billion Korean won from my client's trust fund, while contributing exactly 0.1 to household expenses, business ventures, or family welfare. The courtroom stirred. Even Judge Kim's eyebrows rose slightly. Jinho's attorney stood. Your Honor, my client disputes these characterizations. Mr. Park is a successful businessman who has no documented income, no business assets in his name, and no tax returns showing any legitimate earnings. Kong interrupted smoothly. Your Honor, the financial forensics are unambiguous. Mr. Park's entire lifestyle, his vehicles, his wardrobe, his nightclub appearances, even the leather jackets his associates are wearing, were purchased using my client's inheritance. Michelle watched Jinho's face turn red. His jaw clenched. His hands gripped the table. Good. Feel it. Feel what it's like when someone exposes you. Furthermore, Kong continued, her voice cutting through the tension like a scalpel. Mr. Park has been conducting an extramarital affair with Han Yi-jin, supporting her with approximately 400 million Korean wons of my client's money. Luxury apartment, designer items, international travel, all funded by the woman he betrayed. Now Yi-jin was shifting uncomfortably in her seat. The gallery was buzzing. Jinho's crew was suddenly very focused on the floor tiles. Your Honor, Kong said, moving to stand directly in Jinho's eye line. Mr. Park's so-called business empire is entirely fictitious. He's essentially an unemployed dependent with delusions of grandeur, masquerading as a gangster while living off his wife's family fortune. He's not a businessman. He's a con artist who happened to marry someone with money. The courtroom erupted in whispers. Judge Kim banged her gavel. Order! But the damage was done. Michelle watched Jinho's carefully constructed image crumble in real time. His tough guy persona, his swagger, his entire identity, all exposed as borrowed credibility purchased with someone else's money. Jinho stood abruptly. This is bullshit. Sit down, Mr. Park. Judge Kim's voice could have frozen fire. She's trying to humiliate me. She should be grateful I even married her. A foreign woman in Korea needs someone like me to... That's when Kong dropped the bomb. Your Honor, we also have court-ordered DNA results regarding Mrs. Park's pregnancy. Given Mr. Park's affair and his public questioning of paternity, we requested genetic testing to establish facts. Michelle felt every eye in the courtroom turn to her pregnant belly. She kept her expression neutral, though her heart was pounding. This was the moment, the ultimate humiliation. Jinho's face transformed from anger to smugness in seconds. Yeah, because the child is biologically yours, Mr. Park. Silence. Complete, absolute silence. Jinho's mouth hung open. Wait, what? Yes, Kong said, her voice dripping with satisfaction. Despite your affair, your financial exploitation, and your abandonment of your marriage vows, Mrs. Park remained faithful. This is your child you've been publicly doubting. Your heir that you've been humiliating. Your baby That's when Park Jinho completely lost his mind. He lunged across the courtroom, moving faster than Michelle thought possible. She saw his hand coming but couldn't move fast enough. 6 months pregnant, seated, trapped. The slap connected with her cheek with a crack that echoed off the courtroom walls. Wait, before you continue this, follow, like, and comment your country, because this story is about to go crazy. The pain registered somewhere far away, secondary to the shock, the audacity, the sheer stupidity of what Park Jinho had just done. Michelle's hand went to her burning cheek as the courtroom exploded into chaos around her. Bailiff! Bailiff now! Judge Kim's voice could have shattered concrete. She was on her feet, gavel slamming repeatedly like gunshots. 2 court officers materialized from nowhere, grabbing Jinho by both arms. He was still lunging forward, still trying to reach Michelle, his face contorted with rage that looked almost cartoonish in its intensity. You don't get to humiliate me. You don't. His words cut off as the bailiff's arm wrapped around his throat, professional and efficient. Jinho made a sound, high-pitched, strangled, absolutely nothing like the tough guy image he'd cultivated. He actually squealed. His crew half stood, uncertain. Years of pretending to be dangerous suddenly colliding with the reality of armed court officers and actual consequences. They sat back down so fast you'd think their seats were electrified. Attorney Kong was already at Michelle's side, one hand on her shoulder, the other holding up a phone recording everything. Are you hurt? The baby. Michelle touched her belly instinctively, feeling for movement. A small kick answered, strong, defiant, just like her mama. We're okay, she said quietly, though her cheek was throbbing and she could already feel it swelling. Jinho was on the ground now, face down, hands being zip-tied behind his back with the efficiency of people who'd done this 1,000 times. He was still talking, still trying to explain, justify blame. She provoked me. She made me look stupid. A man has to defend his what? Judge Kim descended from the bench like an avenging angel in judicial robes. At 5'3", she somehow seemed 10 feet tall. His right to assault a pregnant woman in my courtroom, his right to attack his wife, carrying his child because his feelings were hurt, his right to commit battery because he couldn't handle the truth about being a parasitic con artist. Jinho's mouth opened and closed. No sound came out. For possibly the first time in his adult life, Park Jinho had absolutely nothing to say. Your Honor, his attorney tried weakly. Counselor, if the next words out of your mouth aren't my client pleads guilty and begs for mercy, I suggest you stay silent. Judge Kim's eyes were chips of ice. I've been on this bench for 30 years. I've seen domestic abusers, deadbeat dads, financial predators, but rarely do I see someone stupid enough to assault a pregnant woman in open court while proving he's the father. Michelle watched it all unfold with strange detachment, as if she were watching a movie instead of living it. Jinho was being hauled to his feet, zip ties cutting into his wrists, his Italian suit now wrinkled and dusty from the courtroom floor. The Rolex, her Rolex, she'd paid for it, was askew on his wrist. Behind her, she heard someone crying. She turned. It was Han Yi-jin, the mistress, tears streaming down her perfectly made-up face. Not tears of sympathy for Jinho, Michelle realized. Tears of someone watching their meal ticket implode in spectacular fashion. Mrs. Park, Judge Kim said, her voice softening fractionally. Do you require medical attention? No, Your Honor. I'm fine. Michelle stood, smoothing her suit jacket with steady hands. She would not give Jinho the satisfaction of seeing her rattled. But I would like to request that the court immediately issue a restraining order. Already done in my head, Judge Kim said. Mr. Park, you are hereby ordered to maintain a distance of no less than 500 meters from your wife at all times. You will have no contact, direct or indirect, with Mrs. Park or any member of her family or business associates. Violation will result in immediate incarceration. But the baby, Jinho started. The baby you just endangered? Judge Kim's voice could have cut diamonds. The baby whose mother you just assaulted in front of multiple witnesses, including a sitting judge? That baby? Mr. Park, congratulations. You've managed to simultaneously prove paternity and demonstrate you're unfit for unsupervised visitation in under 60 seconds. That might be a record. The courtroom gallery, everyone who'd been whispering and gasping, now sat in stunned silence. Some are recording on phones. This would be all over Korean social media within the hour. Seoul's tough guy businessman, revealed as a trust fund leech, reduced to squealing on the courtroom floor after slapping his pregnant wife. Kong stepped forward. Your Honor, given this assault, we're requesting an emergency hearing for full asset distribution, enhanced child support calculations, and damages for emotional distress and physical battery. Granted, we'll reconvene Friday at 9 a.m. Judge Kim turned to Jinho, who was being held upright by two officers. Mr. Park, you're being remanded to custody pending criminal charges for assault, assault of a pregnant woman, and assault in the presence of a judge, which, yes, carries enhanced penalties because I take that personally. Wait, what? I can't go to jail. I have businesses too. What businesses? Kong interjected smoothly. The ones that don't exist? The ones entirely funded by my client's trust fund that you no longer have access to? Those businesses? Jinho's face went from red to pale, so fast Michelle worried he might pass out. The reality was hitting him in waves. No money, no access, no wife to bankroll his fantasy life, no crew to impress. They were already edging toward the exits, clearly done with this disaster. Your Honor, please, his attorney tried one last time. Counselor, I suggest you prepare for criminal defense instead of family law. Your client's going to need it. Judge Kim gathered her files. Mrs. Park, I'm sorry you had to experience this. For what it's worth, I've seen a lot of bad husbands, but this one, she shook her head. This one's special, and not in a good way. As the bailiffs dragged Jinho toward the side door, he was actually struggling now, feet dragging, making undignified noises. He locked eyes with Michelle one last time. She didn't flinch, didn't look away, just held his gaze with the cold certainty of someone who'd already won and knew it. You'll regret this, he screamed as the door opened. You think you can just... The door slammed shut, cutting off his threats mid-sentence. The courtroom began to empty, people filing out in excited clusters, already pulling out phones to text, call, post. Michelle remained seated, one hand on her belly, the other on her burning cheek. That, Kong said, sitting beside her, was the most spectacular self-destruction I've ever witnessed. And I once had a client who tried to bribe the judge with monopoly money. Michelle surprised herself by laughing. Short, sharp, slightly hysterical. He actually hit me, in court, in front of a judge, while pregnant with his baby that he'd been publicly doubting. Kong shook her head in amazement. If you'd written this as fiction, no one would believe it. Too stupid to be real. What happens now? Now, we destroy him. Kang's smile was pure predatory satisfaction. Criminal charges, civil suit, full asset seizure, parental rights termination, or severe restriction. By the time I'm done, Park Jin-ho will be Seoul's most famous cautionary tale. Michelle looked toward the door where her husband, soon-to-be ex-husband, had disappeared. 7 years of her life. 7 years of building him up, believing his lies, funding his delusions. Never again. Let's finish this, she said, standing. I have a daughter to prepare for, and she's going to learn that Thompson women don't stay down. Damn right, Kong agreed. And somewhere in a holding cell, Park Jin-ho was probably starting to realize he'd just made the worst mistake of his miserable trust fund finance life. Michelle was in Attorney Kang's office, ice pack pressed to her cheek, when her phone started vibrating like it was having a seizure. Text after text, notification after notification, the screen lighting up so continuously it looked like a strobe light. Mrs. Park? Kang's paralegal, a sharp-eyed woman named Lee Min-ji, poked her head through the door. You're trending on Korean Twitter. Actually, you're trending on all the Twitters. Korean, American, Japanese. I think you're even trending in Brazil somehow. What? Michelle grabbed her phone. The first thing she saw was a video, shaky phone footage from inside the courtroom. Crystal clear audio. High-definition video of Park Jin-ho's hand connecting with her face, followed by a spectacular takedown by court security. The caption, translated from Korean, fake gangster slaps pregnant wife in court after finding out he's been living off her money views for $0.7 million and climbing. Oh my God, Michelle breathed. Wait, it gets better, Min-ji said, unable to hide her grin. She pulled up her tablet. Korean netizens are destroying him. They've already created memes. She showed Michelle the screen. Someone had edited the video with cartoon effects. Jin-ho's slap followed by a squeal as the bailiff grabbed him, auto-tuned to sound like a crying baby. Another meme showed his face photoshopped onto a child's body in a high chair, labeled Trust Fund Baby. The most popular one was a side-by-side comparison. Jin-ho's Instagram post showing him flexing with expensive cars and champagne, versus the courtroom footage of him squealing on the floor. Caption, how it started versus how it's going. Michelle felt a laugh bubbling up. Inappropriate, slightly hysterical, but unstoppable. This is insane. There's more, Kong said, entering the office with her own phone, looking simultaneously professional and deeply amused. Han Yi-jin, the mistress? She just posted an Instagram statement. Kong held up the screen. Yi-jin's post featured a tearful selfie, clearly staged, ring light visible in her sunglasses reflection, with a long caption. I had no idea he was married. He told me his wife was abusive and they were separated. I'm a victim here too. Please stop sending me hate messages. I'm just a girl who believed in love. The comment section was absolutely savage. Girl, you're 24 with a luxury apartment. You didn't ask questions. Just a girl who believed in love with a 400 Korean won's million shopping habit skull. The apartment he bought you is in Cheongdam-dong. That's not love, that's rent. She said, I'm a victim, while wearing the Chanel bag his pregnant wife paid for I can't. Korean netizens are merciless, Min-ji observed cheerfully. They've already dug up receipts. Every designer bag, every luxury dinner, every Paris trip, all time-stamped and cross-referenced with withdrawals from your joint account. They've created a spreadsheet. A spreadsheet. Michelle's eyebrows rose. Korean internet culture is very thorough, Kong explained. Someone with too much time and excellent Excel skills has documented every one your husband spent on his mistress. It's color-coded by category. red for bags, blue for trips, green for rent. There's even a pie chart. Michelle looked at the screen. The spreadsheet was indeed extremely detailed, with dates, amounts, and merchant names. The pie chart showed that 38% of the money went to rent, 29% to designer goods, 18% to international travel, and 15% to restaurants and entertainment. The internet is terrifying, Michelle said. Wait, there's a twist, Minji said, barely containing her excitement. Jin Ho's crew, his tough guy entourage, 3 of them have already posted on Instagram, distancing themselves from him. She pulled up the posts. The first was from a guy named Kim Taeyong, who'd been in the courtroom wearing a leather jacket and trying to look intimidating. I want to clarify that I was hired to attend that court hearing. I'm an actor. I do background work. Jin Ho paid me 200,000 Korean wons to sit there and look tough. I had no idea he was going to assault anyone. I do not support violence against women. Please hire me for legitimate acting roles. I have a demo reel. Michelle's jaw dropped. He hired them. Not all of them, apparently, Kong said, scrolling. 2 more posted similar statements. But here's where it gets hilarious. One of his actual friends, Song Jae-won, posted this. The post showed a photo of Jin Ho at a nightclub, bottle service in front of him, arms around 2 women who were definitely not Michelle. I can't stay silent anymore. Jin Ho borrowed 5 million Korean wons from me 2 years ago and never paid it back. He said his business deal fell through. Now I know why. He didn't have any businesses. Bro, you owe me money and you've been living a lie? We're not friends anymore. Also, you scream like a little girl when bailiffs grab you. Everyone saw. The comments were gold. Not the friend exposing the fake gangster lifestyle. He borrowed money while spending 2.3 billion Korean wons of his wife's inheritance on week. That he screams like a little girl part took me out. Michelle put her face in her hands, shoulders shaking with laughter she couldn't contain anymore. This is a nightmare for him. Oh, we're not done, Kong said with barely suppressed glee. The prosecution called. They want to expedite Jin Ho's criminal case because it's so high profile. Apparently, the video has become a public service announcement about domestic violence and financial abuse. Women's advocacy groups are using it in their campaigns. You're joking. I never joke about legal victories, Kong said. Also, the Korean American Business Association contacted me. They want to give you an award for exemplifying entrepreneurial excellence and standing up against financial exploitation. The ceremony is next month. Black tie. Your father would be proud. Michelle felt tears prickling her eyes, good tears this time. Her father had been right. Thompson women didn't break. There's one more thing, Minji said hesitantly. Jin Ho's mother called the office. The room went silent. His mother, Michelle repeated. She wants to meet with you. She said, Minji, check her notes. I raised a fool, and I need to apologize to the woman who had to put up with him. Her words, not mine. Michelle blinked. Of all the twists today, she hadn't expected that. She also said she's testifying for you in court on Friday, Kong added. Apparently, she's been telling Jin Ho for years that he needed to get a real job, but he wouldn't listen. She's furious about the assault. Said she didn't raise him to hit women, especially pregnant ones. His own mother is turning on him. Michelle felt a laugh bubbling up again. Even his mom knows he's trash, Minji said. That's how bad this is. Michelle looked at her phone again. The view count had jumped to 8.2 million. Her mentions were flooded with support from around the world. Women sharing their own stories of financial abuse. Men condemning Jin Ho's violence. Even celebrities weighing in. A famous Korean actress had posted, asterisk, this is why we need to talk about financial abuse in relationships. Michelle Thompson Park is a hero for speaking up. And Park Jin Ho is proof that money can't buy class, dignity, or brain cells. Asterisk the likes, 2.1 million. I came to Korea to build my father's business, Michelle said quietly. I never wanted to be famous for this. Sometimes the universe has other plans, Kong said, squeezing her shoulder. You wanted justice. You're getting justice. That it comes with viral videos and memes is just a bonus. Michelle's phone buzzed again. Another message, this one from an unknown number. Asterisk, Mrs. Park, this is Choi Sung-min, reporter for Korean Daily News. We'd like to interview you about financial abuse in marriages and your experience as a Black American entrepreneur in Korea. We think your story could help thousands of women. Would you be interested? Asterisk Michelle looked at Kong, who nodded encouragingly. Maybe, Michelle typed back. Some good can come from all this chaos. In a holding cell across Seoul, Park Jin-ho was probably just now realizing that slapping your pregnant wife in court wasn't just stupid. It was the kind of stupid that the internet never, ever forgets. Subscribe now, drop your location in the comments, and stay till the end. You'll regret missing this twist. Friday morning arrived with Seoul wrapped in gray clouds that perfectly matched Park Jin-ho's mood, or so Michelle imagined. She hadn't seen him since the slap heard round the internet, but she'd heard plenty about his time in custody. According to Kang sources, Jin-ho's cellmate was an actual organized crime member named Mad Dog Huang, who'd found a viral video so entertaining he'd shown it to everyone in their cell block. Jin-ho was now known as Trust Fund Boy among Seoul's criminal population, not exactly the street cred he'd been aiming for. Michelle entered courtroom 3B at 8:45 a.m., 15 minutes early, impeccably dressed in a charcoal gray suit. The room was packed, standing room only. She spotted reporters, women's advocacy group representatives, and what looked like half of Korean Twitter's most active users, all crammed into the gallery with phones ready. "This is bigger than I expected," she murmured to Kong. "Your husband assaulted you on camera and became Seoul's most hated man in 48 hours, Kong replied. "People want to see how this ends. It's like watching a K-drama, except the villain is actually getting what he deserves." The bailiff announced Judge Kim's entrance. Everyone stood. Judge Kim surveyed the packed courtroom with the expression of someone who'd seen it all and was mildly annoyed by all of it. "This is a legal proceeding, not entertainment," she announced. "Anyone disrupting these proceedings will be removed and possibly charged with contempt. I don't care how many followers you have." Several people in the gallery quickly pocketed their phones. Then Jin-ho entered, and Michelle almost didn't recognize him. Gone was the swagger. Gone was the Italian suit, replaced with an orange jumpsuit that was slightly too large. Gone was the Rolex, the slick-back hair, the cocky smirk. He looked like a man who'd spent 3 days in lockup learning that real criminals thought he was hilarious. His eyes found Michelle's across the courtroom. For a moment, she saw something that might have been shame. Then his lawyer whispered something, and the defiance returned. Weaker now, but still there. "Your Honor," Kong began, "we have several witnesses today. First, I'd like to call Mrs. Park's son." A murmur rippled through the gallery. Michelle turned, confused, as an elegant woman in her late 50s entered the courtroom. She was dressed conservatively, hair pulled back, and her face. "That's Jin-ho's mother," Kong whispered. "Told you she wanted to testify." Jin-ho's face went white. "Yama, what are you?" "Mr. Park, you'll have your chance to speak," Judge Kim said sharply. "Mrs. Park's son, please approach." The older woman walked to the witness stand with the bearing of someone who'd made a difficult decision and was at peace with it. She was sworn in, sat down, and then looked directly at her son with an expression that could only be described as profound disappointment. "Mrs. Park," Kong began gently, "thank you for coming. Can you tell the court about your son's financial situation before his marriage?" "My son was unemployed." "Son," he said clearly, her voice steady. "He was living in my basement, had no job prospects, and spent his days playing video games and talking about becoming a businessman without doing any actual business." The gallery was silent. Jin-ho looked like he wanted to disappear through the floor. "When he met Michelle, I was hopeful. She was educated, hardworking, successful. I thought maybe she would inspire him to become responsible." Sonny's voice cracked slightly. Instead, he saw her as a wallet. "Yama, please," Jin-ho started. "I told you." Sonny's composure shattered. She turned to face her son directly. "I told you 1,000 times. Get a real job. Stop pretending to be a gangster. Stop spending money that isn't yours." But you wouldn't listen. And now you've hit your pregnant wife in court like some kind of, she struggled for words, like some kind of American reality TV villain. Several people in the gallery snorted with suppressed laughter. Even Judge Kim's lips twitched. "Mrs. Park," Kong continued, "did your son ever discuss his wife's financial situation with you?" "He bragged about it." "Son," he said bitterly, "he told me Michelle had a trust fund, that her father had been rich, that she was set for life, and now so was he. I asked him what he contributed to the household. He said he brought the Korean connections." She made air quotes, her disgust evident. What connections? His friends are unemployed wannabes who think leather jackets make them scary. Objection. Jinho's lawyer stood weakly. Your Honor, this is his mother, which makes it more credible, not less, Judge Kim replied. Overruled. Continue. Did you know about the affair with Han Yi-jin? Kong asked. Sun He's face hardened. I found out when everyone else did, when it became a viral video. That girl is young enough to be his sister. The apartment he bought her? I looked it up. The rent alone could feed a family for a year. She turned back to Jinho. You spent your wife's inheritance on a child, while your pregnant wife worked 12-hour days. What kind of man does that? The worst kind, Kong supplied helpfully. I raised him better than this. Son, he continued, tears forming. His father would be ashamed. I'm ashamed. When I saw that video, when I saw him hit Michelle, she looked at Michelle directly. I'm so sorry. I failed you as a mother-in-law. I should have warned you what kind of man he really was. Michelle felt her own eyes welling up. This woman, who owed her nothing, was publicly dismantling her own son to defend her. Mrs. Park's son, Judge Kim said, her voice surprisingly gentle. Do you believe your son is fit for parental responsibility? No, son, he said immediately. He can't take care of himself. How can he take care of a baby? He spent 400 million Korean wons on a mistress, but never once asked if Michelle needed anything during her pregnancy. He doesn't even know what month the baby is due. March, Jinho muttered. It's February, you idiot. Son, he snapped. The baby is due in February. You don't even know when your own child is being born. The courtroom erupted. Judge Kim's gavel worked overtime, restoring order. Jinho was red-faced, shaking. His lawyer looked like he was calculating how quickly he could retire. His mother sat in the witness stand, crying quietly but with her head held high. Your Honor, Kong said, I have one more question for Mrs. Park Sun-hee. After your son's incarceration, did he attempt to contact you? Yes, Sun-hee said, wiping her eyes. He called me from jail. He asked me to post bail using my retirement savings. And did you? I told him Barat, son, he said flatly. I didn't raise him to hit pregnant women. He can face the consequences of his actions like an adult. If he ever becomes one. The gallery lost it completely. Even Judge Kim had to turn away to compose herself. Jinho looked like he'd been punched in the soul. No further questions, Kong said, sitting down with the satisfaction of someone who'd just delivered a knockout blow. Jinho's lawyer stood shakily. Mrs. Park's son, isn't it true that mothers sometimes exaggerate their children's faults when angry? Son, he fixed him with a look that could have melted steel. Young man, everything I said can be verified. Would you like me to bring his PlayStation from my basement? The one he played for 6 years while unemployed? Or maybe the credit card statements showing he spent 2 million Korean wons on mobile game purchases. Using Michelle's money, of course. The lawyer sat down. No further questions. As Sun-hee stepped down from the witness stand, she paused next to Michelle. You deserved so much better than my son, she whispered. Your baby deserves better too. I hope you'll let me be part of her life, even though her father is this. Michelle squeezed her hand. We'll talk, she promised. Sun-hee nodded and left the courtroom, walking past her son without a single glance. Jinho looked broken. His mother, his own mother, had testified against him. His fake empire was exposed. His internet infamy was permanent, and judging by Judge Kim's expression, his legal troubles were just beginning. If you believe Park Jinho deserves everything coming to him, comment Trust Fund Boy. Only people who think hitting pregnant women is okay won't comment. Asterisk asterisk. Michelle touched her belly. Her daughter kicked. Strong, fierce, ready to face the world. Thompson women didn't break. And this Thompson woman was about to win. The weekend between hearings became what Korean media dubbed the Great Unraveling. Michelle watched from her penthouse, her fully paid-for, legally protected penthouse, as Park Jinho's life continued its spectacular implosion across every media platform known to humanity. Saturday morning started with coffee and chaos. You need to see this, Kong called at 7 a.m., sounding far too energized for a weekend. Jinho's nightclub, the one he claimed to own? The actual owner just posted a statement. Michelle pulled up the post on her tablet while sipping her decaf. A man named Robert Chun, owner of Club Meridian, had written a lengthy Instagram statement with receipts, literal receipts. Asterisk. I've been seeing posts about Park Jin-ho claiming to own my establishment. Let me be crystal clear. Park Jin-ho was a customer. A customer who ran up 18 million Korean wons in unpaid tabs over 2 years, which I've now learned were charged to his wife's credit cards. He would show up, order bottle service, pretend to be the owner, and leave before the bill came. He's banned for life. Also, he tips terribly. Asterisk, the post included photos of Jin-ho at the club, surrounded by bottles and women, looking every bit the successful nightclub owner. The caption under each photo, "This man owes us money." Comments were ruthless. Even his lies have receipts skull. "He tips terribly is sending me into orbit. Imagine being so broke you can't even pay for the fake lifestyle you're pretending to have. His wife paid for him to pretend to own a club while she was home working. I cannot." Michelle's phone buzzed. A text from Minji. Check Twitter. Hashtag TrustFundBoy is trending in 12 countries. She switched apps. The hashtag was everywhere, but the best content came from Korean comedians who turned Jin-ho's story into material. Comedian Park Nare had posted a video sketch. How to be a fake gangster. Step 1. Marry someone with money. Step 2. Spend their money. Step 3. Cheat on them with their money. Step 4. Hit them in court. Step 5. Go viral. Step 6. Become a meme. Step 7. Your mom testifies against you. Step 8. Even your PlayStation is evidence. Views, 6.3 million. By Sunday, things got weirder. Michelle was reviewing financial documents when her doorbell rang. She checked the camera, a delivery person with an enormous flower arrangement. "Mrs. Park?" Delivery from, the delivery guy checked his tablet. "From the Seoul Metropolitan Police Department?" Michelle opened the door, confused. The arrangement was massive. Orchids, roses, lilies, with a card that read, "Thank you for making our job easier by getting everything on video. Detective Squad, Domestic Violence Unit. P.S. We've shown the video in 3 training seminars. Your composure is legendary." She laughed so hard she had to sit down. Another delivery arrived an hour later. This one was from the Association of Divorce Attorneys of Seoul. The card. "You've given us the greatest courtroom moment in Korean legal history. Attorney Kong is our hero. You're our inspiration. Thank you for the content. ADAS Board of Directors. P.S. We're naming our annual award after you." "This is insane," Michelle told Kong over video call. "It gets better," Kong said, grinning. Jin-ho's crew, the fake tough guys, 2 of them have started a podcast called "We Were Hired to Look Tough: Confessions of Fake Gangsters." They're doing interviews about how Jin-ho recruited them. You're joking. Episode 1 dropped this morning. They're interviewing each other about the courtroom incident. One of them said, and I quote, "When the bailiff grabbed him and he made that noise, I realized we were backing the wrong guy. Real gangsters don't squeal like stepped-on toys." Michelle pulled up the podcast. It had 200,000 downloads already. The hosts were Kim Tae-young, the actor, and another crew member named Lee Dong-wook. Their banter was surprisingly entertaining. Tae-young, "So when you saw him slap his pregnant wife, what went through your head?" Dong-wook, "Honestly, I need a new job. Like, we were supposed to look intimidating, but how do you look intimidating when your boss is assaulting people? That's not gangster. That's just criminal." Tae-young, "And the squeal." Dong-wook, bro, I've never heard a grown man make that sound. My niece makes that sound when she sees spiders. Not grown men when bailiffs grab them." Tae-young, "Should we tell people about the time he made us wait outside a restaurant for 3 hours because he wanted to make an entrance but couldn't pay the bill?" Dong-wook, "Oh, we're definitely telling that story in episode 2. Michelle was crying with laughter when another call came through. Unknown number, Seoul, area code. "Mrs. Park? This is Kim Ji-hoon from Seoul Central Prison. I'm the warden. I have an unusual request." Michelle put him on speaker so Kong could hear. "Yes. Your husband has been receiving significant harassment from other inmates. They've created a song about him. They sing it during meal times. It's become a morale problem. For him, not for us. We actually think it's quite clever. A song." Michelle couldn't believe this. "Yes, it's to the tune of Baby Shark. They call it Trust Fund Boy." The warden cleared his throat. "Trust Fund Boy, do. Fake gangster, do. Slapped his wife, do. Now he's crying, do. The silence lasted exactly 2 seconds before Michelle and Kong absolutely lost it. "I'm sorry," Michelle gasped. You're telling me the inmates made a children's song about my husband? Yes. Mad Dog Wong, his cellmate, composed it. He's quite proud. We've had to break up 3 fights because inmates kept singing it near Mr. Park's cell. He requested solitary confinement yesterday. Did you grant it? Kong asked, wiping tears. No. We told him to develop thicker skin, which, given his situation, seemed appropriate. After the warden hung up, Michelle and Kong sat in silence for a moment. I feel like I'm in a fever dream, Michelle said finally. The universe is on your side, Kong replied. Even criminals think your husband is ridiculous. Monday brought the final piece of absurdity. Han Yi-jin, the mistress, posted another Instagram update. This time, she was crying again in what appeared to be her luxury apartment. I'm being evicted because Jinho hasn't paid rent in 3 months. He told me he owned the building. I have nowhere to go. My life is ruined. This is so unfair. The comments were merciless. Girl, you knew he was married. This is so unfair, says the woman who helped spend 400 million Korean wons of another woman's money. Maybe get a job? Just a thought, the audacity to call this unfair when his pregnant wife got slapped. One comment with 50,000 likes. You're not being evicted. You're being relocated to reality. Welcome. Michelle closed her phone, placed both hands on her belly, and felt her daughter kick. Your dad, she told her unborn child, is the universe's favorite punching bag right now. And somehow, I think your grandfather is up there orchestrating all of this. Her father had always said, the truth doesn't need help being dramatic. It just needs an audience. Well, Dad, Michelle thought, looking at the trending hashtags. We've got an audience. Hit subscribe if you believe cheaters and abusers deserve exactly this level of public humiliation. Only people like Jinho won't subscribe. Monday's final hearing arrived with Seoul buzzing like someone had kicked a hornet's nest made of gossip and schadenfreude. Michelle entered the courthouse to find actual news vans parked outside. KBS, NBC, CNN International, even BBC Asia had sent crews. This is a circus, she muttered to Kong. This is justice with an audience, Kong corrected, looking like a cat who'd caught a canary, eaten it, and was now planning to catch several more. Embrace it. Inside courtroom 3B, Judge Kim surveyed the packed gallery with the expression of someone deeply exhausted by humanity's capacity for stupidity. Before we begin, Judge Kim announced, I want to address the media presence. You may record the verdict and sentencing. However, her voice sharpened. If anyone yells World Star or attempts to live stream with commentary, you'll be removed, and I will personally ensure you never cover another case in Seoul. Are we clear? Several reporters looked genuinely frightened. Judge Kim had that effect. Jinho was let in, looking like he'd aged 15 years in 1 week. The orange jumpsuit hung on him differently now. Not like clothes he was wearing temporarily, but like a uniform he was getting used to. His eyes were red-rimmed, his hair unwashed, and when he saw the cameras, he actually flinched. No swagger, no smirk, just a broken man realizing the internet never forgets and Korean prison inmates have excellent comedic timing. Mr. Park, Judge Kim began, I've reviewed all evidence, testimonies, and submissions. I've also had the distinct displeasure of watching your assault go viral 17 million times across various platforms, including a TikTok remix that I'm told slaps, no pun intended. A few reporters snickered. Jinho's lawyer looked like he wanted to be literally anywhere else. Before I deliver my ruling, does the defendant wish to make a statement? Jinho stood shakily. His lawyer tried to stop him, actually physically tried to pull him back down, but Jinho shook him off. Your Honor, I made mistakes. But Michelle, he looked at her. She doesn't understand Korean culture. In Korea, men are supposed to be respected. I was just trying to what? Judge Kim's voice could have flash-frozen nitrogen. Explain how assaulting your pregnant wife demonstrates respect. Please educate this court on that particular aspect of Korean culture, because in my 60 years of living here, I must have missed it. Jinho's mouth opened and closed like a fish. You didn't mean to get caught, Judge Kim corrected. Mr. Park, you've blamed your wife's nationality, her gender, her success, everything except your own choices. You spent 2.3 billion Korean wons of her money. You cheated with 400 million Korean wons more. You assaulted her in my courtroom. and now you're claiming cultural misunderstanding. I was provoked by facts. Judge Kim's gavel came down like thunder. You were provoked by your own DNA test proving you were the father, by your own financial records showing you're a parasite, by reality, Mr. Park. Reality provoked you. The gallery was silent. Even the reporters had stopped typing. Sit down. Judge Kim's voice was ice. Jin Ho collapsed into his chair. His lawyer patted his shoulder with the enthusiasm of someone comforting a particularly stupid dog who'd just eaten chocolate. Mrs. Park, Judge Kim addressed Michelle. Would you like to make a statement? Michelle stood, placed one hand on her belly, and spoke clearly. Your Honor, I came to Korea 7 years ago to build my father's business and honor his legacy. I fell in love with someone I thought was my equal partner. Instead, I bankrolled a con artist who thought marrying me entitled him to my inheritance while giving nothing in return. She looked at Jin Ho directly. You didn't just steal my money. You stole years of my life. You made me doubt myself while you played gangster with my trust fund. But here's what you didn't steal: my dignity, my strength, or my father's lessons about standing up for yourself. Michelle's voice strengthened. This baby, your daughter, will grow up knowing her mother fought back. She'll know that Thompson women don't accept disrespect, abuse, or theft, no matter where we are in the world. And she'll know her father as a cautionary tale about what happens when arrogance meets consequences. The courtroom erupted in applause. Judge Kim didn't stop it for a full 10 seconds. Well said, Mrs. Park. Judge Kim reviewed her papers. Now for the ruling. In the matter of asset distribution, Mr. Park, you are entitled to exactly nothing. Your financial contribution to this marriage was 0. Therefore, your share of marital assets is 0. I'm surprised you can't understand this math. It's the same amount of work you did for 5 years. Someone in the gallery laughed. Judge Kim shot them a look, and they immediately sobered. Regarding the assault charges, Mr. Park, you are sentenced to 24 months in Seoul Central Prison for assault of a pregnant woman in a courtroom. This sentence will be served in full. No early release, no parole. Perhaps Mad Dog Huang can teach you the second verse of a song. Jin Ho made a choking sound. His lawyer closed his eyes in defeat. Child support. Upon release, you will pay 5 million Korean wons monthly in child support, garnished from any employment. Given your complete lack of job skills, I suggest you learn one quickly. May I recommend not being terrible? There seems to be market demand. The gallery lost it completely. Even the bailiffs were grinning. Restraining order, 500 meters at all times. You will have supervised visitation only, assuming you can afford the supervisor on your future janitorial salary or wherever unemployed fake gangsters end up working. Judge Kim looked up from her papers directly at Jin Ho. Mr. Park, you had every advantage. A wife who loved you, money to build a real life, opportunities most people never get. You squandered it all playing pretend. You're not a gangster. You're not a businessman. You're a cautionary tale with excellent production value. She banged her gavel. This court is adjourned. Mr. Park, enjoy your 2 years. I hear the acoustics are excellent for singing. As bailiffs led Jin Ho away, someone in the gallery started humming Trust Fund Boy to the tune of Baby Shark. Within seconds, half the courtroom had joined in. Jin Ho's shoulders shook, whether from rage or tears. Michelle couldn't tell and didn't care. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Mrs. Park, how do you feel? Michelle smiled. Genuine, relieved, victorious. I feel like justice was served, and like I need to thank the internet for the memes. They really captured his essence. What's next for you? I'm having a baby in February. I'm running my company. I'm living my life without a parasite draining my bank account. She paused, and I'm setting up a foundation to help women identify and escape financial abuse in relationships. We're calling it the Thompson Foundation, because my father taught me that when life gives you viral courtroom videos, you turn them into social change. The reporters loved it. The cameras loved it. Korea loved it. Comment, Thompson women don't break, if you believe Michelle deserved this victory. Only people like Jin Ho and his mistress won't comment. Michelle walked to her car, hand on her belly, head high. Park Jin Ho was finished, and Michelle Thompson Park was just getting started. 3 years later, Michelle adjusted her daughter's pigtails while simultaneously approving a multi-million won contract on her tablet. Multitasking was a Thompson family specialty. Mama, Why is that man on TV? 3-year-old Grace Thompson Park pointed at the screen in Michelle's office, where a news segment was playing. Michelle looked up. Park Jin-ho, freshly released from prison, was being interviewed outside Seoul Central Prison, looking significantly worse for wear. Prison had not been kind to Trust Fund Boy. That's nobody important, baby, Michelle said, but she turned up the volume. The reporter was merciless. Mr. Park, you've served your full sentence. What are your plans now? Jin-ho, wearing clothes that were clearly from a charity donation bin, shifted uncomfortably. I'm looking for employment. I've learned my lesson about, is it true you're working as a delivery driver? The reporter interrupted. Jin-ho's face reddened. It's honest work. It's also a significant downgrade from pretending to own nightclubs while spending 2.3 billion Korean wons of your ex-wife's money. How does it feel delivering chicken at 2 a.m. to the same clubs where you used to pretend to be somebody? Michelle snorted into her coffee. Korean reporters played no games. I've changed, Jin-ho insisted weakly. I'm a different person now. You're certainly a poorer person, the reporter observed. Your ex-wife, Michelle Thompson Park, now runs a $1 billion foundation helping women escape financial abuse. Meanwhile, you deliver fried chicken. Thoughts? Jin-ho's expression could only be described as deeply, profoundly defeated. I'm happy she's doing well. Are you, though? The reporter pressed. Can this interview be over? One more question. Is it true inmates still sing Trust Fund Boy when you visit the prison outreach program? Jin-ho walked away. The camera followed him to a battered scooter with a chicken delivery box strapped to the back. His helmet had a cartoon chicken on it. The irony was chef's kiss perfect. Michelle's assistant Min-ji poked her head in. Mrs. Park, your 2 p.m. is here. It's Han Yi-jin. Michelle's eyebrows shot up. The mistress wants to see me. Apparently, she's been requesting meetings for 6 months. She says it's important. Min-ji's expression said she thought this was a terrible idea, but was paid to schedule meetings, not judge them. Send her in, Michelle said, curious despite herself. Grace, go play with Aunt Min-ji for a minute. But I want to meet the bad lady. Grace protested. Grace Thompson Park, what did I say about eavesdropping? That it's only okay when adults are being fake, Grace recited, then skipped out holding Min-ji's hand. That child was too smart for her own good. Han Yi-jin entered looking nothing like the Instagram influencer from 3 years ago. No designer bags, no Chanel, just jeans, a modest blouse, and the expression of someone who'd learned humility the hard way, probably while working retail. Mrs. Park, Yi-jin said, bowing deeply. Thank you for seeing me. You have 5 minutes, Michelle said coolly. I'm a busy woman. I know. I've followed your foundation. The work you're doing for women. Yi-jin's voice cracked. It's amazing, and it made me realize how terrible I was. To you, to other women. Michelle waited. She learned that silence made people confess things. I was 24 and stupid, Yi-jin continued. Jin-ho told me you were separated, that you were abusive, that he needed saving. I believed him because I wanted to believe I was special. She laughed bitterly. Turns out I was just convenient and expensive. You spent 400 million Korean wons of my money, Michelle said flatly. I know, and I've been working 2 jobs for 3 years to pay you back. Yi-jin pulled out an envelope. This is 10 million Korean wons. It's all I've saved. I know it's not even close to enough, but I'm going to keep paying until it's settled, even if it takes the rest of my life. Michelle opened the envelope. 10 million won in bank checks. She looked at Yi-jin, really looked. The woman had dark circles under her eyes, calluses on her hands, and the humbled expression of someone who'd learned consequences were real. Why? Michelle asked. The court didn't order you to pay me back in installments. Because it's right, Yi-jin said simply. And because your foundation helped my cousin escape an abusive marriage. She showed me your TEDx talk about financial abuse. You said something that hit me. Accountability isn't punishment. It's growth. She met Michelle's eyes. I want to grow, even if it means delivering your money 10 million Korean wons at a time. Michelle studied her for a long moment. Then she made a decision that would have made her father proud. Keep your money, she said. Instead, you're going to volunteer at the Thompson Foundation. 20 hours a week. You'll counsel women about the warning signs of financial abuse from the perspective of someone who participated in it. You'll share your story, all of it, including how stupid you were. Yi Jean's eyes widened. You let me work there after everything I did? My foundation isn't about revenge. It's about prevention and education. Michelle stood. You can be a cautionary tale, or you can be a redemption story. Your choice. Redemption, Yi Jean whispered. Definitely redemption. Good. See Minji on your way out. She'll set up your volunteer schedule. Michelle paused. And Yi Jean, if you ever Instagram a single thing about this for clout, I will sue you into the next dimension. We clear. Crystal clear, Mrs. Park. After Yi Jean left, Grace wandered back in. Was she the bad lady? She was, Michelle confirmed. But people can change if they work at it. Is Daddy going to change? Michelle thought about Jean Ho on his chicken delivery scooter, probably getting recognized at every stop, probably hearing Trust Fund Boy hummed at him by drunk customers. I don't know, baby, but it doesn't matter. We don't need him to change to be happy. Because Thompson women don't break? Exactly. Michelle pulled Grace in her lap. We bend, we adapt, we win. Her phone buzzed. A text from Com. Jean Ho just got recognized delivering chicken to a bachelorette party. They made him sing Trust Fund Boy before they'd accept the delivery. It's on TikTok. For a million views in an hour. Thought you'd enjoy. Michelle pulled up the video. Jean Ho, in his chicken helmet, reluctantly singing Trust Fund Boy, you do, while a group of women filmed him, laughing hysterically. The caption, when your chicken delivery guy is that Park Jean Ho skull, comments were gold. Asterisk, not him becoming his own meme IRL. This is what we call full circle. He's really out here living his punishment daily. Meanwhile, his ex-wife is running an empire and raising a whole queen. Michelle closed her phone and looked out her office window at Seoul skyline. Somewhere out there, Jean Ho was delivering chicken, paying child support he could barely afford, and living as a permanent viral cautionary tale. And here, in her corner office at Thompson Tech Asia,